Hi there, Stampin' Piece friends. Welcome to my Stampin' Piece studio. I'm so glad you joined me for today's demonstration. I'm going to be making a couple of masculine cards with a very easy card layout that I learned online from demonstrator Kerry McDonogh. And when I saw this layout in the card she had made, I knew it was a layout that I would enjoy making for myself, but also sharing with all of you. So let's get started now. I first want to show you the different, some designer series paper and let you know what products I'm using in today's demonstration. So these are the papers from the Weekend Adventures Designer Series paper pack. In this pack, it's a little bit unusual. You still get 12 sheets of double-sided papers, but you're getting 3 designs. So on this design, you'll get 4 sheets. And then on this one, you'll get 4 sheets. And then on this one, which is the one I'm using today, you also get 4 sheets. So if you need to make a bunch of cards that are the same or similar, this is a great package for that. It's great for nature lovers, but it also makes great masculine cards as well. I also especially love, which one is it? This one for fall cards. You can see the teeny tiny acorns on that very vanilla background. Just fun for fall cards, I think. And the opposite side, the evergreens, I think could also be made into a nice holiday card. But this is the piece that I'm using today. In addition to that designer series paper, I'm using the Best Wishes and Happy Birthday stamps from the With You in Mind stamp set. And this is one of my favorites. If you don't have it, I would suggest adding it to your wish list or your shopping list because I use it so much. Honestly, I have more than gotten my money's worth from that stamp set. So let me show you the first card. I'm making 2 cards with you today, very, very similar. And the second card is based off of the layout from my first card. So I've got a Misty Moonlight card base, which measures 8.5 by 5.5 inches, and I scored it 4 1/4 in the center and folded it in half. On the inside, I'm using very vanilla cardstock. These are colors that are in that Weekend Adventures paper pack. I've got a circle of early espresso that I punched with the 2 3/8 inch circle punch. And then I've got a piece of very vanilla that I'll be using for my sentiment and punching with the modern oval punch. And then I've cut this piece of Weekend Adventures Designer Series paper to be 2.5 inches by 5 inches. Okay, 2.5 inches by 5 inches. My first card is going to be a vertical card. So 2.5 by 5 inches. I want to bring in my paper trimmer. I'm going to turn this to the horizontal position, and I'm going to cut at 1 1/4 inch increments. So I started with a piece that measures 2.5 by 5 inches, and I'm cutting with it in the horizontal position at 1 1/4 inch increments. Now, I'm going to lay these pieces out in the same way that I cut them. I want them to fit together like a puzzle, okay? And then I'm going to, whoops, something stuck here. Then I'm going to adhere them to my card front using multi-purpose glue. Using the multi-purpose glue and kind of puddling it on the center of these pieces will make it much easier for you to make sure that you have even spacing around and between each of the pieces. Keep in mind that I've added my adhesive, my glue, to all of them, but I've still kept them in that same order, the top, the bottom, and the two center pieces, because I do want them to fit together like a puzzle. In other words, I want the images to flow together, not be mismatched. So I'm starting with that top piece, and I'm putting it into position, but I'm not pressing it down hard yet. And I'm trying to make sure that the right edge and the top edge of this first one and the right edge and the bottom edge of the bottom one kind of line up so that there are equal margins. I'm going to take that second one, kind of slide it into place. Again, using your multi-purpose glue, it helps to have kind of a puddle of the glue rather than spreading it a thin line all the way around. Having that puddle of glue in the center of each piece gives us more flexibility, gives us a little bit more time to move the pieces around, to slide them into place so that we have equal margins around and between each of the pieces. Now, here is a tip I often use, and I like to share it with you. I have these 4 pieces. They need to be pressed down flat so they don't move, but I've got that puddle of glue under each one. So instead of pressing them down and taking the chance they might slide, I literally am going to take my silicone craft sheet and just drop it on top like that. And then I'm just going to press with a flat hand. Using that silicone craft sheet and pressing with a flat hand, notice I'm picking up my hand, I'm not sliding it. I'm picking it up and pressing with that flat hand. That ensures that those pieces are not going to be sliding around. All right, now I want to stamp my sentiment. And because it is a photopolymer stamp set, I'm using my Stampin' Pierce mat underneath so that I have that cushion. While our photopolymer stamps are flexible, they are a solid material. They don't have any give like our red rubber ones have. So you want to have something that's kind of cushy underneath. You could even use the silicone craft sheet for this step as well. But I'm going to stamp my thank you in Misty Moonlight ink. And then I'm going to punch it out with the Modern Label Punch. To me, this is a classic staple punch, I'll say. A must-have in the craft room. It kind of, to me, is along the same line as having circle punches, but it just gives a little bit different variation. Just a nice basic punch shape and size. Now I'm going to adhere this to my 2 3/8 inch early espresso circle, and I'm going to adhere it with a couple of Stampin' dimensionals. Now the width of the modern label, or modern oval punch is the correct name, is nearly the very same as the 2 3/8 inch circle. Okay, so I popped it up on dimensionals, and then I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to add the layers to my card front with some glue. And you can think about where you want your sentiment to go. I'm going to put it towards the bottom. below the halfway mark. And I'm kind of centering it between these two pieces. If you can see that, it doesn't have to be exact. Excuse me. And where you place your sentiment may be dependent on the size of your sentiment, what direction it's going, that sort of thing. So when you're ready to adhere your sentiment, maybe move it around a bit and see which placement is most pleasing to you. Okay? So I'm going to set that first card aside for a bit, and I'm going to make a second card. For my second card, I'm basically using the same layout, but I'm turning it and making it a horizontal card. Now, you can see that I've originally cut my DSP 2.5 by 5 inches. So I cut it in the long or vertical direction for a vertical card. Here I'm going to cut 4 pieces the same size, but I'm doing it with a landscape or horizontal direction. So I've cut 5 inches by 2.5. So you can see the directions are the same, but vertical versus horizontal. And since I already have the horizontal position here, I don't need to turn this, but I'm going to go ahead and cut it at intervals of 1.25 inch. There's 1. Again, I started with a piece 5 inches by 2.5, and I'm cutting at 1.25 inch increments, so that when I'm finished, I'll have 4 pieces that each measuring 1.25 inch by 2.5 inches. This would be neat even with 4 different designer series papers. I think that would be pretty cool for designer series papers that are different but coordinate with each other. So once again, I've laid these out in order so they would fit together like a puzzle. In other words, the images being cohesive, not a mishmash. So once again, I'm going to start on the outer corners, putting them in position but not pressing them down yet, in case I need to move or slide any of them. And I would say that looks pretty good. It looks like they're even along the bottom and straight across the top. And then my margins on each side and between the strips are even. So now I'm going to drop my silicone craft sheet on there and press with a flat hand, lifting up between presses. I'm not sliding my hand around. So using that silicone craft sheet and pressing with a flat hand keeps all of those pieces in place permanently without any chance of them sliding around while I'm putting the finishing touches on. So now I have stamped my sentiment, happy birthday. You can see I was trying a different color, but I decided to go the same color as the background. The sentiment is stamped in Misty Moonlight. Again, this happy birthday is from the With You in Mind stamp set, one of my favorites, as I think I mentioned earlier. And I'm adhering the layers flat, and then I will pop up the layers with some dimensionals. Gotta have dimensionals somewhere on the card, right? And once I've added, and I'm going to put one more in the center. Once I've added these layers to my card front, kind of looking for equal spacing on the left and right sides. How high or low I put it isn't a big deal, but it's got a nice little margin. It really kind of with the spacing around that misty moonlight around the sentiment layers. I'm going to scoot this over to the right just a bit. It really draws your eye to the sentiment, making it the focal point of your card. Okay, I think that's better. And now I think we should finish off these two cards with a bit of embellishing. Let's see. I think I'm going to use the linen thread. I kind of like the, oh, maybe I want to use this. Nah. I think I will go with the linen thread. Oh, wait. I also have early espresso thread. Ooh. This early espresso is super dark. Oh, I don't know. I love both of them on here. I think I'm going to go with early espresso. Linen thread was my first thought. I don't know what's going on here, but okay. So I think I'm just going to make just a kind of oversized bow, I'll call it, with the early espresso linen thread. This is a combo pack of linen thread. It has the early espresso and old olive together, which is a nice color combination together, but you can use them separately on so many cards and projects. Good basic colors. Very versatile because they work so well with, ooh, where do I want to put this? With so many of our other colors, which is awesome. So I'm going to use a dot of glue. And then many of you have seen my, let me grab a block, have seen my trick for adhering bows that are made of linen thread or baker's twine, things that are very, very thin. So I just do a dot of glue and then I drop the knot of the bow, only the knot of the bow, into that dot of glue. And then I place a clear block over it, basically to hold that in place, okay, until the glue has some time to dry. So push that out of the way, and then here, do I again want to use, I'm not quite sure what happened with all these ends. Yeah, I think I'm going to use the early espresso again. With a little bit of an oversized bow on this card. Maybe tails that aren't quite as long as the first bow I made, but that is personal preference. You do you. Oh, I guess they are about the same size. I was envisioning something smaller, but I guess they end up being about the same size. A tip, when you are making bows, give yourself plenty of ribbon or thread or twine, whatever you're using. Give yourself plenty. Too often people will cut a piece off and then they're making it and they realize they really don't have enough of the um, thread or ribbon. I'm trying to decide where I want this. I think I'm going to go right at the top here. And then they end up having to cut another piece. And it's very wasteful. If you can use it while it's on the spool or on the bolt, this is, believe it or not, I think some of it somehow got unraveled. But if you can use it like that, that's also helpful and economical because you're actually saving and not wasting. So I'm going to put that there. I think the other one's dry enough, not completely, but dry enough that it will hold in place. And I'll do the same thing with that second bow. So while I'm giving those a moment to dry, I want to show you another set of cards, same layouts, same designer series paper, same sentiments, but I've replaced the Misty Moonlight cardstock and ink for Mossy Meadow. And I love how these turned out. I like these just as much as I do the set on the Misty Moonlight. And on here, I also changed out the embellishment. Instead of using a bow of linen thread, I used these wonderful Cajun Craze and gold dots. I love these, absolutely love them. They have just a little bit of gold shimmer in them, and 3 sizes, small, medium, and large, which is great. And I just like the way these work with the Mossy Meadow color. So there is a quick and easy card layout that, again, I learned online from Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Kerry McDonogh. And I love when I find a new card layout that really appeals to me, because I think if somebody else created it, somebody else shared it, and then I want to create with it and share it, it is a win for everybody. So I hope you enjoy these weekend adventure cards with this quick and easy card layout. Have a great evening or day, time, whatever. I'm assuming you're watching late in the day, and I'm saying have a great evening. But whatever time of the day it is for you, I hope it's a good day for you and that you'll be able to get in a little time for yourself, whether that be crafting or doing something else. And I look forward to seeing what you make with this quick and easy card layout. Please feel free to share your photos of your cards over on Facebook at Stampin' Piece with Mary Knabe or Stampin' Piece VIP group. Can't wait to see what you make. Bye-bye.